I will also add that in regards to Social Security, we have been hearing from the Democrats and they are combining their suggestions, which we have been hearing about for a while now, from the Republicans and even independents like Bernie Sanders, but none of them have truly united despite realizing that they need cooperation from one another in order to pass these laws. Eventually, they had Republicans, Democrats, and independents, like Bernie Sanders, convened for a hearing where they discussed their recommendations and what has to be done to get more money to you. B. Defend the Social Security Administration, and C. Ensure that you do not lose 23 to 25% of your payments over the next 10 years. While some people keep on trying to destroy Social Security because they have a superior concept, and we're going to wait for it, just as we did for the Vietnam Peace Treaty, I can't question the guy who discussed it because he's no longer with us. Our country's retirement system is rapidly approaching insolvency. We must take action to stop it. We can all take action. No one party can take this action. Instead, we have a sacred duty to reduce the required 5-month waiting period for disability payments, as my friend Johnson suggests. We also need to ensure that customer service at the Social Security Administration is fully financed in order to address the underlying difficulties facing Social Security. We have to take a seat and figure this out, otherwise Social Security won't exist. Additionally, Congressman John Lawson will be speaking and sharing his thoughts on the Social Security 2100 Act, which will leave dishonesty and misdirection in its wake. The one who wishes to give you an additional $440 rise as quickly as possible, thus he will be the one speaking today, even if Republicans and Democrats will also be speaking throughout. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Rachel, and I'm here to provide you with all the information. This week, we want you to hear what these gentlemen and ladies have to say to get more money out to you. Regarding what is happening in politics today, there is no fraudulent, fake, or inflated information. Thank you for subscribing and for hitting the notification bell to receive the most recent and best information. Information from the updates area right now. As I mentioned earlier, we've been hearing about these suggestions for a long time, but no money has actually ended up in anyone's bank account, so right now we're prepared to listen to their bipartisan viewpoints, which entails that they are collaborating to piece together each of their solutions. Ideally, the additional $440 per month would help be a part of it, so Congressman John Lawson will be speaking first. He will discuss how the Social Security 2100 Act will allow you to get this money. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, Social Security is the country's top anti-poverty program for the elderly and the top anti-poverty program for our children. I am here today to discuss both programs. Speaker, I believe it's critical that the members of the gallery get the data we're working with, particularly the fact that almost 70 million Americans currently rely on Social Security. Millions of Americans, 40% of whom are in receipt of pensions, the only benefit they have, attest to the brilliance of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the necessity of a safety net in an enterprising capitalistic system for people. Even more so, imagine that 10,000 baby boomers per day become eligible for Social Security, which depresses Congress, the body largely in charge of enhancing and protecting Social Security, since it hasn't done much in the 53 years since Richard Nixon was the President of the United States. Social Security was lastly expanded, and currently, 5 million Americans receive benefits from the nation's best insurance program that fall below the poverty line. The country's history, but Congress has not addressed the program, which is why it is so crucial that we do, Mr. Speaker. As you are aware, there are more than 219,000 Social Security recipients in Idaho's 1st District. Social Security benefits are relied upon by more than 170,000 retirees, 21,000 disability recipients, 10,000 widows, 5,600 spouses, and 11,000 children in Idaho. The program brings in $388 million each month to the 1st District and has not been members of the public, and those who have learned about this outrage that it hasn't been modified in over 50 years, ask why Congress hasn't taken action, citing President Biden's reasonable suggestion. He suggested, let's just lift the cap on folks making over $400,000 who don't pay nearly the same as a person, saying, hey, listen, in this beautiful nation of ours, why shouldn't everyone pay the same? Earning $30,000, $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 who contribute to the program. As a result, we would be able to improve Social Security not just in Idaho but all around the country, even prior to. It appears that former President Trump has changed the Republican platform to indicate that Social Security will be protected, but that protection alone won't be sufficient because Congress hasn't taken any action in more than 53 years. Whether you live in Idaho or Connecticut, those very citizens, the 10,000 baby boomers born every day, who want their Congress to act on their behalf, ought to improve a program that offers them the advantages. And that money is directly allocated to each congressional district and each congressional community. The inhabitants use that money to pay for necessities at the pharmacy, grocery shop, and gas station. Because Social Security is the best anti-poverty program for both children and the elderly, it is necessary for Americans to vote. Congress should not just speak about it, instead, it should implement it. I Give Back Jay Yields, we're going to hear that those in the gallery and across this country should demand that the U.S. Congress vote on Social Security and fix something that has been in disarray for more than 50 years. From Congressman John Lawson, who is attempting to provide you with the additional $440 per month through the Social Security 2100 Act. During a hearing, all of the proposals were presented, Republicans and Democrats, and we'll hear his thoughts on the plan as well as defending Social Security's sovereignty. Social Security benefits are crucial, serving as a lifeline for millions of Americans without Social Security. Without Social Security, 43% of older women would be impoverished, and as small business owner Maya Rockamore Cummings told us yesterday, Social Security not only acts as a safety net, but also spurs entrepreneurship. First of all, he said, entrepreneurs in this nation are able to take risks because they know that Social Security will be there, which is a tremendous point. This gives them the ability to start businesses. 43% of all women who are old enough to collect Social Security payments do so, and the reality is that many women would be impoverished if they had not received those benefits. We need to act to strengthen Social Security and its benefits, because even with the fact that males on Social Security feel impoverished right now, which is one of the reasons reforms need to be made. According to a study conducted by a Federal Reserve economist, savings from private retirement plans are concentrated in the top 25% of the population, meaning that Social Security seniors are having difficulty. According to research, 75% of Americans do not save enough money for retirement through private plans on average, which means that more people would have to rely on Social Security benefits. For this reason, one of the people are in need because of the Great Recession, which hit 10 years ago, wiping out many people's retirement funds. This is the reason why more individuals are retiring at age 62 than at age 67 or 70. According to Federal Reserve experts, 90% of households have not recovered the wealth they lost during the crisis on average, but Social Security is still there for them. In fact, Chairman Neal frequently states that you may outlive annuity, but you can't outlast Social Security. The only doctor I visit who has this is also my Social Security beneficiary, and it will take me a few years to become eligible for Social Security. Some people feel that they contribute more to Social Security than they actually do, even if their contributions aren't matched, and they ensure that the generation that came before them continued to receive benefits. However, when it comes to individuals, it appears like you're only getting a little portion of the money you contribute each week for 35 to 40 years, in certain circumstances. The issue I have with Social Security is that after 50 years of employment, the benefit amounts that many of you are receiving ought to be increased. Social Security is the retirement guarantee for working people. The Security 2100 Act creates a minimum Social Security payout that is 125% above the poverty line, which is something we believe will reinforce this promise and enable seniors to retire with dignity. When they receive the additional $440 per month on average that it will take to lift a Social Security claimant out of poverty and into a position where they can become it will now cost an additional $440 per month for those who are 125% above the poverty level, according to President Biden's recommendations, or at least his discussion of them. It will cost at least $440 per month, not simply the additional amount, to lift people who are currently receiving Social Security out of poverty. This includes survivors and retired railroad representative payees on SSDI as well as SSI. Senator Sanders wants to give you $200 a month to ensure that no one who has worked their entire life may retire into poverty, which is regrettably the situation for more than 5 million Americans at the moment.